Hey everybody, HomeSliceHenry here, and in today's video we're taking a look at another one of the balance updates from the Season 25 balance patch, and that is the buff to Regidrago. Regidrago at long last gets its bait move back. It gets Vice Grip, a normal type charge move that does 70 damage for only 40 energy. Regidrago's nuke move Dragon Energy does 10 less damage this season, but is still a very efficient attack. For the team, I paired it up with a Feraligatr Safe Switch and Doublade as the closer, although I think the team would be vastly improved by taking Doublade off the team and running Empoleon in its place. So without further ado, let's hop into the matches, and in Game 1 we're off to a great start leading Regidrago into Stunfisk. Opponent safe switches into Lapras, and I respond with Doublade. Doublade will fire off the Sacred Sword, and honestly for super effective damage, Doublade does not hit very hard. I think that was my biggest complaint with Doublade, was Regidrago felt amazing to play, but Doublade just really didn't do any damage and it wasn't very bulky. So in neutral matchups, Doublade really tended to struggle. My opponent tries to go for a Sacred Sword catch onto Stunfisk, but I hold on to all that energy and I get to bring back out the Regidrago. Regidrago able to absorb Mud Bomb after Mud Bomb, and in this matchup, I'm looking for damage, so I'm full sending Dragon Energy. Dragon Energy is going to be shielded up by the Stunfisk. I'm able to make it to a second Dragon Energy as well, really looking to punish a no-shield. This time, it is going to land devastating damage onto that Stunfisk. Stunfisk fires off the Mud Bomb. Mud Bomb is going to land. Regidrago farming up. There's the switch to Lapras, and Regidrago just farms all the way down. Regidrago gonna get a Dragon Energy into the Gourgeist that is revealed as the final Pokemon. The shield comes up, in comes Feraligatr, and Feraligatr will be in a pretty good spot here. It looks like my internet, I don't know if it lagged there for a second, but I definitely missed the Shadow Claw. That was very weird. The good news is we're gonna win anyway, but that definitely was a little bit odd. I know this is a bit of an interlude season while they work on things, and you can definitely feel that in the game state. Back in comes Stunfisk, answered with Doublade. Doublade fires off the Sacred Sword. Sacred Sword takes the knockout, and we get the win. Great lead in the next match, Regidrago into Ludicolo. Ludicolo farms up a ton of energy. There's a catch attempt onto Corviknight. I bang 2 Dragon Energies, I send out Feraligatr, and honestly, I'm feeling pretty good. Feraligatr is going to do pretty nicely into Corviknight. I'm able to land that Hydro Cannon. Because I gave them such a massive head start, they should be able to get a payback into an Air Cutter, but I'm perfectly fine just soft losing this matchup, and then just Shadow Clawing all the way down with Doublade. Air Cutter will take the knockout, and now it's time for Doublade to farm. In comes Doublade, Shadow Claws adding up, Corviknight makes a last second Air Cutter, but this is not going to do much. I no shield, it's a payback, I miscounted, and suddenly I'm in trouble. Their final Pokemon is revealed to be Incinerate Gourgeist. I fire off the Dragon Energy, and my opponent will put up the shield. Regidrago so fast at getting to charge attacks, I get to another Dragon Energy, and my opponent is going to be double shielding. It's highly likely they're just going to go for a Seed Bomb, but I have to respect the potential Shadow Ball. Now I will fire off this Dragon Energy. This Dragon Energy will not be enough to knock out Gourgeist. Gourgeist does have some pretty good bulk, but it will be getting them quite low. This could only be a Seed Bomb, so I absolutely have to let this go. Seed Bomb lands, I get the farm down of that Gourgeist, and now I have to watch for the catch. My opponent sends in Ludicolo, there's the catch attempt, and they do not get it. Back in comes Ludicolo, I get to fire off this Dragon Energy. Dragon Energy is gonna land. Ludicolo does not get the Astonished down. Regidrago putting on a show, and we're able to take the win. We've got a big core breaker on the lead in the next match, Regidrago into Florges. Florges will typically run Trailblaze and Chilling Water, so their charge attacks are walled, but matchups like these are where Vice Grip shines. Vice Grip gives Regidrago an ability to hit for some really nice neutral damage onto the fairies. Like, look at that, that comes very close to two-shotting. They go for another Trailblaze, now at +2. I'm able to hang on, make the Vice Grip, and this should set up an awesome farm down for Feraligatr. In comes Feraligatr, getting that full Shadow Claw farm down, and my opponent sends out Goodra. Goodra gonna throw energy, but they didn't build up to the Thunder Punch. This can only be an Aqua Tail. So if they're not gonna build up, I'm not gonna shield. I farm up, and I will actually full send. I want to try and punish a no-shield here in case they try and call a bait back, but they will put up the shield. However, I think there's a very real chance they Aqua Tail again. So I no shield, I get the Ice Beam, but no I don't. The Dragon Breath's KO, and now it's the Doublade show. In the back is a Growlithe. What is this doing here? This is a maxed Growlithe. Yo, this trainer is living up to the Season of Spice moniker, and I absolutely have to respect it. A Growlithe in the back. Unfortunately, Growlithe gets KO'd by the Sacred Sword. In comes Goodra, and Goodra is basically just over 25% HP. Surely a Sacred Sword KOs, right? Surely. The Goodra is very, very low health. I fire off this Sacred Sword into the Goodra, and it doesn't knock out. Doublade just does no damage. Oh my goodness. Tricky lead in the next match, Regidrago into Empoleon. I try for a Drill Peck catch onto Feraligatr. My opponent is actually going to throw energy. This is what I wanted. I would rather take the energy here. Drill Peck not going to do much, and out comes Galarian Moltres. Galarian Moltres would take big damage from Ice Beam, so I decide to go for the Hydro Cannon bait. The bait is successful. My opponent knows they have to throw energy, and now I have to decide. I decide that it's worth trying to pull their final shield with an Ice Beam. If they shield, I'm going to get aggressive and pivot into the Regidrago, because I know Regidrago can output some serious damage with Dragon Energy. So I fire off the Dragon Energy right before they're able to get the move. Dragon Energy lands, they barely hang on, and back in comes Empoleon. Empoleon not going to appreciate the Dragon Energy. Dragon Energy lands, Regidrago putting on an absolute show. I try and get to the Vice Grip, but unfortunately I can't quite get there before the Drill Peck is reached. Drill Peck will set up a farm down for the Empoleon. I bring in Feraligatr, and this game is going to be all up to Doublade, which is one of the scariest sentences in the English language. Out comes a Gourgeist as my opponent's final Pokemon, and this is going to be a tricky game. Gourgeist has a lot of energy. My opponent does have energy on the Moltres as well. Gyro lands. Gourgeist tries to get another Incinerate to land. They do not get it. They lose all their energy, and now Moltres will get KO'd with the Sacred Sword. So Doublade actually did do something that game. It was able to clutch the win. Regidrago into Sableye in the next match. Regidrago gonna have a pretty okay matchup in Sableye as long as two shields are not in play. So I'm more than happy just to take a shield advantage because it's highly likely that my opponent will just opt for the route that is going straight foul play. So I know shield, there's the foul play. That does do quite a lot of damage, and my opponent is gonna get a catch onto Blastoise. Blastoise gets rocked by the Dragon Energy. I do want to bank some energy for later, and then I can bring in Feraligatr. My opponent does have enough for the Skull Bash, so I absolutely have to respect it. Blastoise baits with a Hydro Cannon. It's possible that they could be on Ice Beam. If they shield, that tells me that they are on Skull Bash. I fire off the Hydro. They do put up the shield. That has me worried. So I decide to shield up this Feraligatr. Hydro Cannon is going to be the bait from the opponent. They save some energy, and in comes Sableye. Sableye's foul play does big damage to Feraligatr. Feraligatr is just going to be able to knock them out, however. So Hydro Cannon takes the KO, and now what do they have in the back? They're going to send in the Blastoise. Blastoise makes it to a Hydro Cannon, and I'm going to need Doublade to try and clutch this win for me. In comes Doublade, getting the Shadow Claw down. In the back, oh no, they have Shadow Talonflame. But I can make double Sacred Sword, so I think I'm okay. The Shadow Claws have done quite a bit. I fire off the Sacred Sword. Sacred Sword is not going to two-shot. I try and make a move on the Regidrago, but I can't. Sacred Sword would not KO from this health range, and unfortunately, we will lose that game. I think I could have made a Vice Grip on the Regidrago if I switched it in instantly, so honestly, I think that was a bit of a throw by me. We move to the next match. Great lead, Regidrago into Gourgeist. My opponent safe switches into Clefable, and I respond with Doublade. Clefable's Moonblast absolutely rocks the Doublade. I just don't get Doublade, man. I don't understand what Doublade is supposed to do. Gyro Ball is going to be shielded. The good news is I win Charge Attack priority over Clefable, so I will be able to pressure both shields away from my opponent, but I think I'm just going to let the Doublade go at this point. I think Doublade has done what it wants to do. Now, in previous seasons, I could never bring back in the Regidrago. I would have to reveal my whole line. But thanks to Vice Grip, I can bring in the Regidrago, fire off the Vice Grip, shield once, and then go for a pretty nasty Dragon Breath farm down. My opponent full sends the Moonblast. Thank goodness I shielded, and now I have a big, healthy energy head start. What does my opponent have in the back? They have a Shadow Celio. Celio going to be switching out. In comes Gourgeist. Gourgeist really not going to appreciate these back-to-back Dragon Energies. The Dragon Energy is going to connect. I switch and get a catch onto Feraligatr. Feraligatr, this is probably a Seed Bomb, so it is going to be taking super effective damage. But for Feraligatr, I can shield once, Shadow Claw down, and then a Hydro Cannon plus a Dragon Energy will be able to secure the game. So in comes the Celio. Celio will be immediately chipped with the Hydro, and then I know that with this energy loaded in the back, this game is over. Celio gonna overfarm to the max. At the back-to-back body slams, they have 2 moves. I have the Dragon Energy, but Regidrago wins that charge attack priority tie. So Regidrago's Dragon Energy takes the knockout onto Celio and secures the win. We've got Regidrago against Regidrago in the next match. In a mirror match, this does give Regidrago the ability to bait. So I build up to the Dragon Energy, bait with the Vice Grip, but I lose charge attack priority, and my opponent ends up Vice Grip baiting as well. If the mirror is going to come down to Vice Grip baits, then I have a fun idea. And that is to catch a Vice Grip onto Doublade. So I switch into Doublade as they fire off energy. Come on, let's see it. But unfortunately, it's the Dragon Energy catch. My opponent now sends out a Licky Licky. Licky Licky will be able to spam out super effective damage with Shadow Ball, and I'm just not going to be able to survive that Shadow Ball. My opponent undertaps, respecting the quick pacing on Doublade, and Shadow Ball will take the KO. Back in comes Regidrago. Regidrago will fire off Dragon Energy right before they get their body slam. Dragon Energy lands, they hang on, and they get damage registration error. The Dragon Breath should have knocked out, but doesn't, and I lose my Regidrago. Now it's Feraligatr versus the world. What do they have in the back? I need it to be something weak to Feraligatr, and it's their own Doublade. So a very similar team. Doublade will fire off the Sacred Sword. Sacred Sword will do a solid amount of damage, but I decide to put up a shield. I farm up to the back-to-back. There's a great catch from my opponent onto their Regidrago. I go for a slight undercharge, knowing that I need some energy, and that gives me a 2-claw head start. Unfortunately, my opponent will get the Sacred Sword. The question is, can I hang on here? They go for the Sacred Sword. Oh, that does nothing. Oh my goodness. Doublade has unfortunately been pretty disappointing for me, but I think pretty disappointing for my opponent there as well, and that ends up being my win condition, because Doublade just did no damage. Feraligatr, even at a pretty significant disadvantage, is able to take home the win. We move to the next match, Regidrago against Fearow. Fearow gonna fire off a Drill Peck, but more than happy to let this damage land, and then look to farm up to the max. I'm going to be going for the Vice Grip bait. My opponent makes a very nice catch as they catch the Vice Grip onto Feraligatr. Well, I can stay in and guarantee a shield with the Dragon Energy, so that's exactly what I'm going to do. Dragon Energy is going to be shielded, and now I can just bring in my own Feraligatr to the mirror. My opponent will always try and go for the CMP tie, but I have no desire to ever play to the CMP. Instead, I can just let that go, farm up right before they're able to get their next charge attack. I don't want to risk the CMP tie there because I don't know who wins it, and take the KO. Back in comes the Fearow. Fearow doesn't end up throwing energy there. I don't know if they got one turn or if they just miscounted, but they will get knocked out. In the back is Shadow Annihilate. Shadow Annihilate gets that farm down, but unfortunately in comes the Doublade, and this opponent was just completely hard countered as Doublade actually gets a full farm down and takes the 2-shield flex. Hopping into the final match, tricky lead, but we get a catch out of this Empoleon lead, catching the Drill Peck onto Feraligatr. I would rather take the damage on Feraligatr because, at the very least, Feraligatr is able to get them quite low, and then hopefully I can use that Regidrago energy later in the match when they don't have a Dragon Resist on the field. Drill Peck will probably just take the knockout. I'm hoping I get a 1 HP survive, but it's not to be. They are pretty low on this Empoleon, but I know that a Drill Peck will do less to Regidrago than a Hydro Cannon would to Doublade, so I'm forced to bring in the Regidrago. My opponent pivots. They send in a Volt Switch Fortress, and this could get tricky. Volt Switch Fortress, not what I'm hoping to see. I fire off the Dragon Energy just to get a little bit of damage, and now I bring in the Doublade. I have to respect the Earthquake, because Earthquake would absolutely one-shot, but they're a Mirror Shot Fortress. Oh my goodness. Luckily, once I see their Mirror Shot, I know their Mirror Shot Rock Tomb. Rock Tomb is going to be landing. I'm now at -2 attack. So in this matchup, I can't blame Doublade for doing no damage because Doublade's at -2. That does not take the knockout. In the back is a Hex Drifblim. This is a -2 Gyro Ball. The Gyro Ball still gets shielded, and now I will go for an incredibly aggressive Vice Grip bait. But Drifblims love to shield. The bait is successful. That's going to allow Regidrago to make it to this Dragon Energy, and this is going to hurt. Dragon Energy is going to land. They realize they're getting farmed down. They're forced to throw energy, and I think I'm just going to let this go. I'm going to try and win with the Doublade. Doublade farms down Fortress. The Volt Switch damage does register. In comes Empoleon, and I'm not letting Empoleon get any additional damage. Sacred Sword takes the knockout. Doublade survives the Hex on very low HP, and that is a good game. And now some final thoughts on Regidrago and on Doublade, since that is another buffed Pokemon that I tried out in this video. Let's start with the positive. Regidrago felt really good to use. The fact that Regidrago, if it has to, can stay in against Florges because Florges doesn't run a fairy move and still play out a very close Zero Shield matchup is a big plus for Regidrago, because Hyper Beam ultimately just ends up being too Feast or Famine. If your Hyper Beam in the Great League is shielded, you basically auto lose the game because you farmed up an insane amount of energy and got quite literally 1 damage out of it. Whereas something like a Vice Grip, it's a very efficient charge attack. You can spam it out, get consistent damage over time. Obviously, if you're in a matchup where Dragon isn't resisted, you're always going to be throwing Dragon energy, but there can be certain endgames in which pacing is everything. So still being able to get to a pretty efficient charge attack, even if it doesn't get same type attack bonus, every 10 turns instead of 12-11, can give Regidrago a bit of an edge in some of those close endgame scenarios. So Regidrago does feel meaningfully improved to me. Even with the nerf to Dragon Energy, I still feel like Regidrago is overall in a much better spot compared to last season. Now, I do want to mention Doublade. Now, the astute viewers may have noticed that I've been a little bit critical, ever so slightly critical of Doublade in this video. Doublade has an unbelievably good typing. Ghost plus Steel is very cool. It's unbelievable in the main series, and we've seen Ghost plus Steel types, even if they had very poor stats like Goldengo, still have play in formats like the Master League. However, in the current Open Great League, I honestly think this typing ends up being more of a hindrance. Unless you're on, let's say, like a Credilli or a Clefable or an Azumarill, you're taking super effective damage from a lot. Incinerate, you're getting destroyed. Sucker Punch, not going well for you whatsoever. Mud Slap as well. So I feel like the typing doesn't necessarily have as many advantages. And if you don't necessarily have a ton of advantages from your typing and your neutrals are not what you want them to be, I think that's where this Pokemon can end up struggling. I think this Pokemon getting something like Shadow Ball in the future could be what it needs to kind of help it, because Shadow Ball, Ghost is resisted by fewer typings than Steel, so it would allow it to have more consistent neutral matchups across the board, just because it wouldn't have to, let's say against water types, have to rely on Sacred Sword. And non-stab Sacred Sword didn't really do a lot. We saw in that Feraligatr endgame where Feraligatr was not the healthiest and still tanked it pretty comfortably. So I think Doublade has a lot going for it. I think it's a fine Pokemon, but I think to break into the meta in a meaningful way, it would probably need something like Shadow Ball. But that isn't to overshadow Regidrago. I think Regidrago is awesome. Regidrago felt incredible to play, and you could very easily just take this team and put Empoleon over Doublade, and I think you're going to have some very nice results. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoy watching content like this, please do consider leaving a like on the video and subscribe to the channel if you have not. And an extra special thank you, as always, to our channel members here on YouTube. The support you guys provide is sincerely appreciated. So thank you guys so very much. And until next time, I've been HomeSliceHenry.